Before I start my session there, and give you information about that why exactly you should go for the CCSP certification, and how exactly, how much it is relevant for you and for your professional growth, right? And I'm very much sure that all of you are actually looking for some good and relevant professional growth in your organization, or might be you're looking for a good and opportunity there, which will definitely, you can obtain after getting this certification. Okay, but definitely before you go and listen me, why you should listen me, that is the first question, right? So let me resolve this particular question and give you a proper response for the same. My full name is Rajiv Kumar, and I'm actually coming from the background where I had actually worked on multiple projects around the world. I had tackled multiple situations, you can say, in the information security and in the cloud security, whatever, whatever mostly come in the organization. I definitely say that not all situation, because some of the situation might not came yet, which might be I'm going to face it out in the future. But yeah, a good challenges which I had faced over the time on which I had actually worked. And the another thing, it means apart from the experience which I have, I also say that I'm also having all the certification which is relevant for talking on this particular topic, right? Like count it on mostly the name specifically from my domain, information security and the cloud security there. I had mostly obtained all of them. First thing, I'm also the certified trainer for mostly all of the vendor. So this is another credential I must say about me. And apart from that, some of the relevant certification which I had obtained over the time, from the IC Square. So the certification which we are going to talk today is actually from IC Square, right? So mostly I'm very much, good on my whiteboard. So, I try to explain all of the concept with the help of my whiteboard. And even if this webinar I'm actually projecting is, I will try to utilize my whiteboard more there, so I can explain you the thing which actually you need to know about this examination, right? So the certification which I had obtained from the IC Squad site, like certified in information system security professional, which is CSSP. So coming back to my introduction there, so I'm having relevant certification in this field, like I'm certified information system security professional. I'm also certified in CCSP. I had already taken this credential. That is the reason also I'm actually talking about this, definitely. Apart from that, apart from these two, which is from this information security and definitely from the cloud security background, I'm also CCSK, Certificate of Cloud Security Knowledge, and CCSK Plus credential I have also. But definitely, apart from that, one of the leading vendor right now in the cloud side is AWS and Microsoft Azure, right? That these two are actually leading right now into the market. Apart from this, we also have the Google Cloud Platform. So I had taken certification basically from AWS side and Azure side. Not yet from the Google, but I had worked on that particular platform, specifically in the hybrid environment. We need to actually work on that. And apart from that, mostly all the certification, which is actually from network and security background, I have there. So definitely it's not a correct platform where I can discuss all of my experience right now, because we also have a limited time period, right? Where I need to actually focus on my topic. But yeah, so in my short career of 14 years, I had actually obtained a good certification, had worked on multiple projects, and specifically those projects I had handled from mostly every part of the world, you can say, mostly the bigger countries, which I had actually handled some of them. So coming back to the topic, which is definitely you all are actually came back here just to understand why this certification is actually required for you there, right? So before going to talk, before I'm going to talk about the CCSP certification, let me give a proper grounding about why CCSP, right? I hope most of you, and specifically who is coming from the technical background in this meeting, I'm not very much sure that either you are already working onto the cloud, or might be you're new into the cloud, or might be you are actually from the different technical platform. But if you are from the technical field here, then you must be aware about that cloud is actually one of the very demanding platform around, across the organization. Every organization is trying to move into the cloud, and there are multiple reasons for that, right? There are multiple reasons for that we have here. Okay, one of the common reason we have that the manageability which the cloud is actually offering is really awesome. I mean to say, whenever if you're trying to deploy any new service, or if you're trying to lift your existing service from your on-prem location to cloud, it's a very manageable solution offered by the mostly by the cloud providers, which will help you to take your application and you can run it without any hassle. And not only that, there are lots of different services which is available, which can help you to manage your application or whatever you're doing with your on-prem platform. So the reason behind we are moving towards the cloud, their manageability, flexible. Okay, so they are very much flexible, specifically in terms of manageability. But definitely we have very awesome features available onto the cloud. Like one of the another reason you're moving towards the cloud is basically their pay as you go model. You are utilizing cloud because you are going to pay only for what your resource is utilizing. So to the capital is investment you are actually making from the very long time in your traditional organization. So you had purchased a very huge server, but after some time that server is doing nothing, or might be after some time that server is not fulfilling your capacity. So you are actually overwhelming with the request and your server is not capable to fulfill those requests. So either you need to upgrade, or your server is not having your server is actually sitting idle and doing nothing most of the time. In both of the cases you are actually going to face problem, right? And what is that problem? Your business will actually get impacted. Yeah, when we are there in the organization, what is our primary motto, right? Every organization is actually working towards a certain goal, and that goal is to achieve the organization over an all objective, right? So there is an organization goal and everyone is working towards that goal there, and for that only strategies is created. We are selecting the policies as well, so multiple controls we are doing for the same there, right? Cloud will actually going to provide you lots of flexibility in terms of what you're doing with the on-prem infrastructure and what you can do with the cloud. Everything available as a service. At the end of the day, mostly what we are doing in our on-prem environment, it is also available onto our cloud, but in the form of service. And all you have to manage that particular service properly. Okay, so if you can efficiently manage those service, definitely you can get the outcome which you're actually looking for. And the outcome is basically to make sure that your organization is growing and achieving what exactly they want in the market, right? So this is what exactly we are doing. So at the end of the day, we are trying to secure a, a platform on which we can grow, and cloud is actually going to provide you that platform. Again, there are multiple service model, on which it is actually working. So when you're moving towards the cloud, either you can, host the entire virtual infrastructure, or you can have only the platform on which you can run your application, or you can let the provider manage everything for you. It's totally on your requirement. So first, understand your requirement, what exactly you're looking for, and accordingly you are going to select the cloud platform. So we have infrastructure as a service, we have platform as a service, and we have software as a service. And you can actually think out in this way, that what exactly the flexibility you will be getting if from your hardware up to the application is managed by your provider, and you only need to manage the security of that application. Okay. Similar thing for the platform as a service, you can think, what about if the hardware and the platform is managed by the provider, and you are just going to manage your application for your infrastructure? Now, how much control you require, definitely it is you who will need to decide, and definitely your organization strategy also. But we need to think how the control needs to be implemented there, right? How exactly the control needs to be implemented, and what are the best practices available, which will help us to implement the control properly. That is where CCSP comes into the picture. Now, CCSP, when you're moving forward, so before CCSP, you need to think, do we have any other security certifications as well in the market? So yeah, so for the CCSP to understand, we need to understand there are two kind of certification we have right now into the market. One is vendor neutral certification, under which CCSP actually falls. And then we have the vendor specific certification, vendor specific security certification. So as I told that we have some leading vendor into the market, like we have Microsoft Azure, we have Amazon AWS, we have Google Cloud Platform, and apart from these three, we also have others, right? Like we have Alibaba, we have IBM Cloud, we have Oracle Cloud. These are also there. And apart from that, definitely we have other cloud platforms as well, which you can utilize. There are lots of cloud platforms actually available around us. So you need to understand your requirement, and accordingly you are going to select the cloud platform which you require, and there you can host your services. So think about if you are going for the Microsoft Azure, okay, and you need to work onto their security products. So what Microsoft Azure has given you a security certification, which you can opt in, and you can work onto the security products which is available on Microsoft Azure. And for that, they are having AZ 500, Azure 500 there. Recently Microsoft has launched a role-based certification, and now there are different certification for different purpose. For the administration, there is a different certification. For the architect, there is a different certification. And for the security, there is a different certificate. Similarly, even onto the AWS platform, we have the AWS professional, we have AWS security specialty. So security specialty is one of the security certification we have from the AWS side. But both of the vendor, or all of the vendor, is actually doing what? They are letting you know the products what they have to configure and manage it. But when you check the overall security posture of any of the organization, they are not only working on the tool. Apart from the tool, they have lots of different things to manage the security controls, to specifically for manage the security controls. It means they are not only working on tool, but how to manage the tool, how to check their efficiency, how to check their effectiveness, how it will fit into your policy, what are the guidelines available for implementing any certain control, And very much important, what is the need of that control? These are these are the key question, and without understanding those key question, you can say these are the basic things which you need to understand before you are provisioning any control there. I mean to say, suppose you are not aware about why, who, and when, you know you are not very much clear on your mind why exactly you're going for any control, right? Implementation of control is not a very big problem. Nowadays we have lots of steps available around us, specifically on the websites it is available, and you can go and implement the control there. So implementation of a particular solution is not a big problem. The problem is how exactly that control will align to the goal of your organization, how exactly it will help you to achieve the goal of your organization. And that is the biggest things to understand. And that is where the vendor neutral certification is trying to present you. So they are trying to create a big picture around the controls you are trying to implement, and they will try to clarify the need of the control for an existing scenario. So if you are there in a problem and now you're trying to fix a particular problem there, the only thing you have to check it out, why we are going for this particular solution, how exactly it will help you, whether it is aligned to the need of the organization, and how can you check the effectiveness and efficiency of the control. So if it is not efficient, you know that what to do now next. And that is what the CCSP is doing it. CCSP is making sure that you are very much clear on the solution, what you are implementing, and you know what to do next. You always have a plan ready for yourself. So whenever something goes wrong, you always have a backup plan which you can actually implement immediately to correct the solution, right? Correct the actually the issue. So ISC Square, International Information System Security Certification Consortium, has given lots of best practices, implementation guideline with the help of their documentations, right? Specifically, there are two courses which is right now very much popular into the market. One is the CISSP and another is the CCSP. CISSP is specifically for the information security guys who is actually into that, and they are trying to manage the entire infrastructure. But if you are specifically managing the cloud infrastructure and you are concerned about the cloud security, no matter whether you are managing the infrastructure services or platform services or software services, or you're managing the deployment model like public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, or might be community cloud as well. So no matter on which platform you're working, specifically on the cloud, your goal is basically to make it secure. And before making it secure, definitely you should understand what is the need of that particular security for your organization. Remember, security is a very huge term, right? When I tell anyone that implement a security, you know there are lots of things to need to be done on the security part, but what security control is actually going to help you, that one needs to be understood there, right? And that huge, there is a gap actually, you can say, where normally we have. So if I had done my vendor related certification, that I'm not very much clear that when and what time this control is going to help me there. Specifically, the case studies, scenarios are actually going to expose your mind when you're trying to implement the control. And that is what the CCSP certification course is going to help you. CCSP certification course is going to draw a big picture, and they are letting you know about the every possible scenario which normally organization is going to face, specifically when they are migrating into the cloud and when you're operating into the cloud. So remember, we have multiple phases when we are moving into the cloud there, and from the phase 1 up to the phase last, whatever, each phase needs to be securely provisioned there. And otherwise definitely there could be a big risk to the organization data. And that is where CCSP is going to come into the picture. They will be providing the best practices around the cloud. They will be helping you to multiple standards which is available for the cloud. And very importantly, they are actually working, jointly with Cloud Security Alliance. So Cloud Security Alliance is one of the another not-for-profit organization who is actually giving the best practices for the cloud. Specifically, there some of the documentation like cloud control metrics, and right now the current version of their metrics is version 4.0, has given lots of a standard which is for implementing the controls. And definitely this is already aligned with your existing standards you're utilizing from the very long time. So now coming to this certification and what exactly you will be going to do in this certification. So when you're going to prepare for this certification, another thing you need to know that there are less number of professionals available around the world for the CC for the cloud security. Vendor specific certified guys might be there, but vendor neutral certified guys around the world is very less number. Not exactly it is because it is very much complex. Definitely it is one of the certification which is very much demanding, and somehow if you compare with other certification, it is a little bit hard as well. Complex, I can say, not hard, because if you understand the complexity, from which side they are actually trying to ask you the question in your examination, that time it is going to be very much easy for you to clear the examination. It means you need to understand their strategy of asking the question. They will not ask you any of the question very in a straightforward there, what they are actually normally do in the vendor specific certification. They will always try to put a scenario in front of you, and you need to first solve the scenario there, and second, then after only you need to select the best possible answer out of the options given there. Okay, and that is where IC square is trying to test whether are you moving towards the right direction, or your direction is not fitting according to the IC square view. Okay, because definitely there are multiple options, there are multiple way through on which you can come to the solution, but selecting the solution with a proper direction, you can say with the proper standard and guideline which is followed around the organization, is for that you require proper experience and information as well. So until unless you had worked on that particular scenario, or might be someone has discussed that scenario with you, you're not very much clear on that particular scenario, and that is actually going to be a obstacle to crack the examination. Okay, so our goal is basically to let you crack the examination there, and for that you need to understand the problems which you may be facing in the current industry, right? So IC Square is very much known, organization who is actually providing such, good information in front of you, and they had actually given you quality certification, which you can present anywhere, and which will definitely give you a very huge credentials in the market to upgrade your position, to upgrade your overall skills as well, right? So coming to the next slide, as I told that I had already given my information to you. So these are some of the certification which I had obtained over the time. Now some of them, I have some others as well. But yeah, I think this is enough because I'm actually in the cloud security management and cloud implementation as well there. Now, so when you're moving on to the cloud, what are the topics you are actually going to face there? That is a very important thing. And specifically for that, I also want to present a documentation in front of you, and this is one of the cloud interface which you're normally going to utilize there, right? So when you're moving on to the cloud, one thing need to understand first, there are total of 6 domains we have which you will be asked a question, right? So when I say domain, they are actually a bundle of information, right? And those information you need to first understand, and then you will be getting some question based on the topic, and that one you need to solve it there. So when you're moving on to the cloud, specifically for the CCSP, they are having 6 domains, and each of the domain is having a certain weightage for your examination. Like when I choose the first domain, which is cloud concept, architecture, and design, the weightage of this particular domain is 17%. It means 17% of the question you will be getting in your examination from this particular domain. Remember, these are the relevant weightage there. Okay. And the second domain we have is called the cloud data security. Now, if you go for the first domain, which is cloud concept, architecture, and design, the main purpose of this particular domain is to understand what is cloud, and definitely it's one of the very important thing. And not only because someone is already working into the cloud and they are already aware about what are those particular cloud, but sometime we need to know all the features of each of the service model and deployment model there, right? Remember, a cloud can be deployed by many way there, right? And based on who is owning, who is the owner of that particular cloud, how exactly the cloud is getting managed, we have some deployment model as well, and which service you are trying to obtain from the cloud. For based on that, we have service model given there, right? So when you are learning the first domain, which is called as the cloud concept, architecture, and design, they are trying to make sure that you know what is cloud and what is the importance of cloud for your organization. So if either you are already working on into the network and you already have a small setup or might be a very large setup, and how cloud will actually going to help you. So whether it is the scalability feature which they are offering you, whether it is the high availability, whether it is the data centers which is normally available around the world, whether they have the point of presence, uh, even that too. So everything you actually need to know, which will help you to understand the cloud from the multiple aspects, and specifically from the standards aspect as well there. Like what exactly the NIST is talking about the cloud, what are the essential characters they had given into the cloud. When you are trying to set up the cloud, there are multiple components we have the cloud. Like the compute node needs to talk to the storage node, right? So remember, whenever you're going to form any cloud instance there in the cloud, that time you're going to use processor and the RAM, right? When you're creating a virtual machine, that virtual machine needs to store the data somewhere. Okay, so how exactly that compute node will be communicating with the storage node, and if if they can communicate directly or they require some you know involvement of APIs, that one you need to actually understand. So we have the architectures also defined there, and some of the architectures they had actually given there from the standard architecture point of view. Like we have the SAPSA as well, Sherwood Applies Business Security Architecture. So we not only trying to check it only technical from the technical side, but also we need to understand that how exactly those communication point will help us to design a highly secure and highly flexible network. Okay, and definitely you need to understand each of the control issues, and around that the might be sub controls needs to be and configured there. So the main thing here we are trying to understand is what is cloud, what are the different architectures available for that, and how do we design a secure cloud infrastructure in front of us. So that is a very an important key point we have here. So once you are ready with the cloud, I mean to say, when you are aware about what is cloud, what is service model, what is deployment model, what are the different architecture options available there. If you're aware, once you are aware about, the next thing you can go for is the data security, right? Now you will be understanding how exactly cloud is going to store the data, right? Where they are actually storing the data, how they are managing your data, what are the different controls available for the data. Okay, and one of the major control which is available onto the cloud is encryption. Now, remember, encryption is actually one of the technology we are using from the very long time. So we must say that it's not a new technology, but how encryption will affect our cloud technology, that one we need to understand. And who will be managing the key after doing the encryption? That is another key thing we need to understand. And what is the best practices available for the data security? It means when you are as a customer, when you're putting your data onto the cloud, how exactly your data will be managed, that one needs to understood as well. And there are different type of storage. So definitely each storage will actually going to ask for a different control. Some can be managed with the help of access control system as well. Some can be managed with the help of encryption, and some can be managed by both of them. But remember, whenever we are trying to measure the security, we always use the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And we cannot implement all of the control. We need to understand that it actually required a balanced security control, and that is where the data security domain will help you there. And it will also help you understand the importance of SIM solution, security information and event management tool, in your organization. And specifically for the cloud, how exactly that SIM needs to be designed. So can we send data directly to the SIM solution? Do we need to provide data through some third tool? What about if you need to deploy your logs directly to your on-prem SIM solution there? What could be the best architecture available for that one? And when I remember, when I say best architecture, I'm talking about the common practices we are following into the organization, which if you understand, definitely you will be getting a proper experience as well, and definitely that same can be going to help you to implement onto the cloud as well. So data security is specifically focusing on the all kind of storage available there, and all kind of encryption, all kind of access control, and majorly SIM solution. And but apart from that, one important thing we need to understand from the same domain is how exactly the compliance of the different country will affect the storage of data on the cloud. So even that one too we need to understand. It means we need to understand the different regulations, different compliance, different laws, which may be affecting your data storage on the cloud there. So definitely, if you are aware about from all of the perspective, when you put the data, that time you're having a proper checklist available there, and that checklist will help you to understand that if you're moving a data into the cloud, that data is actually satisfying all the requirement. So not only your general security best practice, but also the all the law regulations is also covered properly there. So once you so far what we had discussed, that we are aware about cloud, then we are going to discuss about the data security, and finally in the third domain we are going to discuss about the platform and the infrastructure security. So the core goal of this particular domain is to understand the two service model which is very much close to you. See, I mean to say, when I say close to you, it means that user require proper control over the resource which they can configure and manage. So as a user, I'm trying to create a virtual machine. Okay, what virtual machine will do, this virtual machine will provide you all the relevant option through which you can manage the services which is available onto that VM, right? So this is what exactly we can do here. So here we have two options. We have the infrastructure security. So here we can going to talk about the infrastructure component, where we have the compute, where we have the storage, where we have the network. So that is the three key component we are going to talk about. And not only we are going to talk about the infrastructure component, we are also going to talk about what are the security concerns available around the infrastructure security. See, as I told, that when you are trying to implement the control, you should know what is the risk that particular asset is facing. And if you're aware about this risk, the control selection and implementation will be very easier for you. But definitely, if you're not aware about the risk, no matter how much control you're implementing, there might be a possibility that it is not aligned to what they require, and accordingly it will not going to be effective. Okay, so this is the very important component we have, that is called as the infrastructure security itself, right? Another thing, we have the platform. It means we are not going to talk only about the infrastructure, but we are also going to check how exactly the platform as a service will be getting managed onto the cloud, and who will be responsible for most of the security. And if application is my responsibility, what are the best practices available, and to deploy web application or any kind of application, what are the pipelines given there onto the cloud infrastructure. Remember guys, if you are a developer, if you are an infrastructure guy, or if you are a software guy, okay, for everyone, cloud is offering a huge number of tool which is actually going to make you feel very comfortable, right? And definitely once you are aware about the interfaces of the cloud platform, it is just a very smooth applications which you are managing, and mostly all the headache of the infrastructure hardware component is managed by the provider, so you don't need to worry about. Okay, so this third domain is specifically focusing on the PaaS and IaaS, and the fourth domain will be focusing on the application side. You can say as well software as a service. But if you are a provider or if you are a consumer, if you are managing application, what are the core components you need to check it out? It means how do you do the testing? What are the best practices you should be utilizing it for developing the application? Okay, what is the new development approach like DevOps, DevSecOps, or how exactly it will be integrated into the cloud? So that one you are going to check it out with the help of this application security domain there. And definitely one important thing, you are also going to check it out some of the common risks which we are going to face in the application side, and how do we tackle those particular risks with the help of controls available onto the cloud. Or might be you need to integrate the third party security providers, which is also known as security as a service. We also have the CASB solutions which you can integrate. So we will see what are the importance of that. But the common agenda of this particular domain is to understand the application security issues, and specifically how cloud will impact those issues. Is it going to be increased? Is it going to be decreased? And if it is, and if there is any particular gap, how exactly we can solve or manage that gap there. So specifically this four domain is concentrating onto the cloud there. Now, when you move to the fifth domain, which is actually called as cloud security operations. So this cloud security operation is trying to provide you the complexity of the data center, specifically for the cloud. It means when you are going to have your own data center for the cloud, what are the standards and guidelines you need to follow? So whether you are building in the entire rack for the data center, whether you're concerned about the heating and ventilation, okay, or whether you're concerned about the management best practices like incident management, problem management, patch management, all of these particular controls has been discussed under the security operations, and that is what we have in the cloud security operations domain. So security operation is specifically focusing on the data center stuffs there. Okay, and once you are aware about the data center stuff, you are going to check it out, the legal risk and compliance challenges which you can face onto the cloud. So if you see, it is actually a very progressively designed there, like how exactly you can go for that. But definitely in your examination, you are going to be asked for each of the concept there. The highest number of examination weightage in terms of question you will be getting it from the data security, where 19% of the question you will be getting, and the least number of weightage we have from the legal risk and compliance, which is the 13%. It means rest of the domain is having 17% of the weightage equally. It means domain 1, domain 3, 4 and 5, 17% of the weightage is there, and you will be actually tested against the concept related to that. So this is what exactly coming to the examination. So definitely after completing the trainings, you are trying to take the examination, and one of the important thing is basically to take the certification, right? Because if you are if you will be getting the certification, definitely it is going to be valuable one for you there. No matter in which country you are, there is a less number of people right now for the CCSP, right? So there are less number of people available right now who is certified in this particular sector, and that is also is making it very much competitive there. Yes, so Viswas has asked a question. Would the question is going to be scenario based? So yeah, definitely. That is what the speciality of this particular examination is, that they are going to ask you the scenario based question, and you have to select the best response. It could not be the remembered all of the response which has been given there in the question might be okay according to you. If you had worked into the field, according to you, it is wrong, but there you need to select one best response. It means what is the least wrong is that one you need to select there. And such question can be also asked there, although it is not uh, going to be higher in number, but yeah, 1 to 2 question will be like that, where you feel that no any response is right and you need to select one of the best response there. Okay. Now previously the examination was actually for 4 hours, but recently it is 3 hour. They had actually converted into 3 hour, and that is just to make it standardized what the other exams are. So the length of the examination is 3 hour. Okay, right now the examination cost is $599, right? And number of question you will be getting is 125, and you need to secure 70% to pass the examination. Okay. The question is going to be multiple choice, so that is the one kind of question. But apart from the multiple choice, it is also having mix and match. Okay, so you may be getting a question where they had actually given you a scenario of not scenario, but some points there, like some law, and you need to select the country specific for that particular law there, right? So this is going to be to one kind of question there, mix and match. So that two kind of question they are normally actually asking. Another is going to be drag and drop, where they had given you option, you just need to drag and drop the best response in front of whatever the points has been given there. So even the drag and drop could be also one of them, but the number of question related to drag and drop and mix and match is going to be a maximum 1 or 2 there. Most of the question is going to be multiple choice, right? Now I have some question in the chat. Is it cat based like CSSP? Not exactly, Mayur. It's not going to be cat like CSSP there. So CSSP itself is one of the toughest examination if compared with CCSP there. Which one should you suggest, sir, first CSSP or CCSK as a beginner? So see, if you're a beginner, Adnan, in such case, you should go for CCSK, because CCSK will provide you more clear grounding, because it has been actually discussed all the concept, not only from the management point of view, but also from the technical point of view there, right? Here we are trying to understand the best practices around the solution there. And and in the CCSK, they had discussed about the technicalities of the solutions as well. Okay. So I will always suggest CCSK first to go, and then after you can go for the CCSP. Uh, Exam result and retake and reimbursement and endorsement. Remember, any of the assist for examination, either it is going to be uh, it is going to be first is going to be the the professional, and the another one is going to be associate level. Okay. So when you're going for the associate level, you don't need to get endorsed. But if you're going for the professional level, you need to get endorsed there. And for the endorsement, you need to prove that you have a 5 year of relevant experience in any two of the domain specifically here, right? The good thing is, if you are a CISSP certified and you had already obtained the certification, in such case, you don't need to get endorsed. That same certification will help you to get the CCSP certification. But if you are not having, in such case, you need to prove your experience and you need to get endorsed there. I think I'm having some questions. Should we have any cloud provided security knowledge before CCSP? Oh, should we have any cloud provider security knowledge? I will not suggest for that, Amit, but before you're going for CCSP, might be CCSK documentation will help you to understand the concept. Now, in terms of how long it will take to prepare to sure pass, So if you're trying to be secured, if you had guided well, John, in such case, 2 months will be enough for passing the examination. Means, I mean to say, now you are aware about all the content, and in such case, you can easily go, right? Yeah, definitely you will be getting some course material there. Okay. Remember here in the examination, they are going to test you on the concept, the standard, and best practices. Okay. We do not test exception to the rule. Exam is given only in English around the world. It is not a test of language, remember, skill or math. There are no negative marking, and definitely here you do not require any calculator for the examination there. It's a management level examination. It means here you are going to test for the manager skill there, your decision skill there. So you should know what is the best for your organization, and what is the best for your organization in terms of to achieve their goal fastly. Not only because you are the technical person and you're trying to implement a control and that control will be the best. Remember, control can be best, but could not be the effective solution for that one. Okay, so you need to define, you need to select the control based on what the organization is looking for according to the goal there. Okay. Another thing, examination is not written for your organization, right? So if you had worked on it if you're working in your organization and your organization is trying to implement certain component in their own way. So remember, IC squad is trying to follow the best practices around the world. They're not looking to check what a specific organization is doing. Okay, so if an organization is doing wrong, they will definitely not promote that particular one. We always have to follow best practices, which is good for the organization goal, and definitely for our country, for our for the world as well there. It's a international exam, not a country specific. Another thing we need to know there. So it is not going to influence by a certain law and regulation, but yeah, some certain law you need to understand as well, specifically which is affecting all the countries around the world. Okay, and another thing is not designed to for a specific industry. Okay, it means you're not getting a question from a specific industry, but you should have to know certain industry information as well, which will help you to understand the scenario given there in the examination. There are some golden rules also have for the examination, like people's safety and privacy always come first. And that is, when you are going to learn the topics, that time most of the time we are going to dislike what exactly the control selection and the implementation will we are actually going to follow. So it is the people safety and privacy always come first. Policy is the key to nearly everything. It means you are going to implement the control because your policy required, and policy has been designed to affect your organization goal. And before you are going to implement any policy or control, you have to get the support of management. Education or training is essential, specifically if organization is trying to grow positively. If you're not providing training to your staff members, definitely they are not aware about the controls or the best practices. Definitely it is going to impact your organization negatively there. Anything a person can do will likely circumvent a technical control, and for that it means most of the control might be circumvented by the by mistake as well, or might be intentional. In such case, you should have control for both of the situation, and you are always assessing the control effectiveness. Okay, remember, there are some keywords which you are actually need to understand in the examination. Now this is a specific to the examination, so when you are going to enroll and when you are going to study, that time it is going to be much more valuable with the help of the scenario or the concept we are going to discuss in the session there. But yeah, it's here we have some keywords which you need to check it out, and that one will help you to understand and provide the proper solution. Remember, examination question has been written in a way so you can understand the point and based on that give the solution there. So there are some key points which you need to extract from the examination, and that one will help you to understand the concept of the question, and accordingly you can filter. Another thing, normally we are trying to use a filtering capability. It means we are trying to check it out what are the wrong option according to the scenario given there, and it will help us to come and reach to the best response. One of the strategy normally we need to take in the examination, that always take breaks. It's very much important, but because when you are going to solve that many of a strategy, your brain will burn out there. It's actually a serious a truth, that after reading that many of scenario and after solving that many of question, your brain actually require relaxation. So take breaks. Okay, you have a good number of time as well there. 3 hours is actually enough to solve all the question there. Exam question is not that much of complex, but yeah, you need to understand the the points. Time is not your enemy. Remember here, time is not an issue. No prize for finishing first. Even if you're going to finish in 1 hour, there's no any unique output you will be getting from the IC square, right? You will be getting same paper which everyone is getting, that you professionally passed the examination. No penalty for last. Read the whole question and try to understand the scenario after reading again and again there, and don't try to make any foolish mistake.